Hey everybody, it's Wayne Nelson here from Little River Band. You are listening to the Midwest Mixtape podcast. Enjoy.
There's a bar right across the street. He's got a need he just can't beat. Out on the floor, he shuffles his feet away.
Hi, and welcome to the Midwest Mixtape podcast, live from the Barn Studio. You got the Mox here, and I'm joined online right now with Wayne Nelson from the Little River Band. Wayne, how are you, man?
I'm great, man. Good morning. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. Really excited. You're coming into town in the fall, in October, Saturday, October 12th. Little River Band and the Night Owl Orchestra at the Factory at the District in Chesterfield, but St. Louis. Looking forward to having you back in town.
As are we. That's a great venue, great new venue. It's intimate, but you feel like you're in an arena. And we're bringing the orchestra with us this time too. So always a great time to play in St. Louis for this band, no question.
Yeah, so what's the orchestra thing about? Can you talk us through that a little bit and what the fans on Saturday, October 12th can expect?
Sure. Adding orchestra to Little River Band music is a no-brainer. It adds a lot of class and emotion to to what are already great songs. And over the years, our keyboard player wrote charts, and we can and are going to work with other symphonies this year that are 40 and 60 pieces. But what happens with 40 and 60 pieces of musicians on stage with us is, you got your first chairs that are really digging in and playing, and then you got your second and third chairs that are kind of relying on the first chairs to take the heat, if you will. So it gets kind of fluffy. It can get it's big and lots of people, and it's a visual thing, and it's really cool. But we found over the course of time that on stages like at the Chesterfield, we can use our setup, bring 7 first chairs who play strong, and we've worked with this ensemble now for I'm going to say 40 or 50 times, and they love the show. They stand up and dance. They're into it. Excuse me, and they're playing strong enough to stand up to a rock and roll band and be part of the show. So when we're honored to work with big ones, but when we're on a tighter stage like that, it's great to have these 7 people with us, and they're chunking away just like they were, like they've been with us for years. So it's really a lot of fun.
And I imagine it really fills the sound out, right? Because, part of the Little River Band sound is those harmonies, right? You guys are just known for these, just brilliant harmonies. And I do want to get into that a little bit, but with having that extra, orchestra, or, filling the sound out with extra instrumentation, I guess,
Right.
probably adds to the experience, I imagine.
It does indeed. Again, 7 well-dressed people in the middle of the stage, reading charts and being legit like that. It keeps us on our toes because we got to stay out of their way. This band's very spontaneous. We'll throw things in and react to them, during the show. And when those guys are there, we have to make sure that we stay true to the chart and true to the arrangement, and make sure we don't step on the orchestra's toes. But the great thing is our keyboard player, like I said, did the arrangements. So he's arranged things to weave in and out of where those vocals are, always making sure that the vocals are up top. So, St. Louis crowds are so familiar with the music to begin with. This adds an extra layer of, I just have to say it adds a bit of class to the night, you know what I mean? So it's good fun, and it enhances the emotion of the songs. Happy Anniversary gets a horn chart that's fun. Cool Change gets those strings going, and it just really enhances the message.
How much has KSHE, the radio station KSHE, been a part of your success in St. Louis?
Can't say enough about KSHE. in 75 and 76, when the band broke in Florida, late night Jock put on Long Way There and a couple other tracks from that record. And it started to spread. But St. Louis was the next, it kind of went on a diagonal across the country. It was Jacksonville, Florida, St. Louis, and Portland, Oregon, on a big cross, on a line straight across the country, were the three big markets. Keishi, not only responsible for helping to break the band, but also helping to support the band all the way through all of those. We set a record in '82. We had our 6th year in a row where we had a top 10, and nobody had ever done it before, which is crazy if you think about it, because you're talking about Elvis, Michael Jackson, Stones, Beatles, Beach Boy, on and on and on. All these bands that had success, but then they took a year or two off to make the next record, or they, whatever, or didn't last 6 years, or whatever the history was. But Little River Band was the first band to do that, and Keishi is massively important because St. Louis is such a big market. And they were just diligent. They played every single, they made sure it saturated the market. We had a couple number ones in St. Louis on Keishi that didn't reach number one in the rest of the country. So I can't say enough about those guys and what they did for us. And I'm really glad they're still around. It's pretty amazing. When they got to be pushing 50 years now too, don't they?
They've been around a long time. I don't know the exact years, but they're a staple in the rock community and obviously in St. Louis and really the Midwest.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And our 50th anniversary is next year too. So getting people used to the orchestra is something that we want to do, because we're going to be bringing them around a lot next year. So it's good times. We're on a real good wave right now.
We mentioned the harmonies and that being a part of your sound. Is harmonies a lost art? You don't hear it a lot in, modern music. And I know you guys have a new single out, which we're going to get into, which has a ton of it, but you don't hear it too much in modern music. Do you feel like it's a lost art in a way?
Yes, especially to layer things with harmonized guitars as well, to keep the harmonized rock thing going on, but also have, honor the vocals. You can find it in country music, Little Big Town, Lady Antebellum, Rascal Flatts, Diamond Rio, Little Texas. You find it there, and it's still, for some people, a staple. But here's kind of the way things have progressed, because people don't have to go to a studio. You don't have to go to a studio with the band, set up, play, stand around a microphone and sing. Everybody can do something at home. You know what I mean? And it's become more of an individual exercise, songwriting, recording. There are people that don't leave their home studio and are on the internet with a thriving career and a big following. They never tour. They don't even, they don't need other people to do it. And I think that concept has spread to a lot of acts, that so they don't have to gather together. They don't have to create a blend. They can do it. They can take a track out with them on the road, and they can stand there and have harmonies with nobody else on stage singing. And I'm not knocking it. There are people using technology to make great songs and great records, but we're of the old school that those 5 people singing together, you can't match that. You can't recreate that. That's something that physically depends on everybody's health every day. It floats, it changes, and it's a live thing. So we're you can call us dinosaurs for relying on it and going back there and counting on it, but we snap people's heads back with a cappella vocals sometimes. We'll be going along and band just stops and the vocal keeps going, and they're, wow, those guys are really, that's really powerful. And so, more power to anybody the way they want to make their records, but we are definitely in the slot of keeping harmony, out there first and foremost.
It would literally be three, four, five guys, gals sitting around a microphone, standing around a microphone, right?
Absolutely. And it's a joy to hear that in the room and work with that and make music with that. I will honor bluegrass as well, because they really do it live around one microphone. And there are some incredible singers. Whether you like the style of the music or not, you got to honor the talent involved to make that happen around one big fat microphone. Bass, guitar, three vocalists. That's magic to watch people do that. But even on separate microphones and stuff, like I say, people are still blown away by the power of the vocals during our set. One of us is in his 70s now, so to still have people reacting to us singing is an honor and a joy to be able to do it every night.
Well, for the first time in a while, I think we have some new music to talk about, right? We have a new single out. First Time. What can you tell us about the new single?
First Time is, band careers change and the music industry has changed underneath us. And we know that we're not really in competition to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to keep competing against Taylor and Justin Timberlake and so on and so forth. But again, the internet and independent podcasts and radio people like you, there's still a way for us to have music be heard, and making new music is just healthy for any band, to stay creative and keep the plumbing clean. So First Time is a song written by one of the newest members of the band, new guitar player that came in a couple years ago. Great songwriter, lots of songwriting friends in Nashville and oddly enough, New York, Canada, Australia. This guy's been around, written over close to 3,000 songs. And First Time is a song about a song. It's really interesting the way it folds in on itself. It's a songwriter writing to someone who their relationship has split up, but there's still a chance. And so he's writing a song about what did you feel the first time you heard the song. So if you get it's a double story going on for him and for her. And it's just powerful. It's a great Little River Band chorus. And I am very happy to say that we're doing that one. And the title to the CD is Window to the World. Interesting. You got a great window to your world right behind you. Yep. Window to the World can relate to everybody, that this is your life. Look out your window, embrace it, enjoy it, live it, to the fullest. That's the vibe of the song. First Time is the second single. And we put those two on stage right away. And in the midst of all those hits, we're getting a standing ovation every night for the follow-up to Window. People are singing along with us for Window, and that's a lot of fun. But then the power of First Time, people are standing up going, wow, that's amazing. I'll tell you one quick story. 2 or 3 times after we had put the new songs on stage, we got a post, a letter or a message, I guess, on Facebook. And it started out, how dare you? How dare you put new songs in the set and make us think those are part of your old hits and make us go back home and dig through all of our albums trying to find out, where did we miss that song? And then at the end it said, great work, you guys, love the new music or whatever. But it was a great twist on, how dare you, confuse us like that. So that was pretty cool and a good sign. People are reacting really well to the new music. So again, something for St. Louis to chew on when we get there in October.
Well, I love the song, and I think what I love about it is it actually sounds modern, but it sounds like you guys and some of the stuff that you've done previously. It's a very weird combination of both, and to me, it almost reminds me, like, the music, I guess, is like worship music. My wife listens to a lot of worship music. She's heavily involved in the church, and there's sort of a driving rhythm there. It sort of reminded me of that way, and maybe it's some of that, like, uplifting, but also, a heartfelt song. But I absolutely love it. I think it's a little bit of two sounds kind of combining.
I'm really glad to hear you say that, because anybody that does a deep dive on that song and then soon the whole record, there's 14 songs on there, and um, when you got a 50-year history behind you and hit songs, great songs written by good songwriters, you know, everything you do, there's your history's looking over your shoulder. You know what I mean? Um, you can't be dictated by it, but yet you still have to honor it. And we're walking a fine line to try to do new music that has had some modern feel to it, tell another story, but yet, like you say, honor the past and feel like Little River Band. It really makes me happy to hear you say what you just did, because that's our dilemma, if you will, but it's also our, you know, it's also our it's our success story following us along. But that we have at this age of the band going into the 50th year, if we stand still and don't try to reach out to new people and keep gathering new people coming to shows, if we stand still, we're going backwards and we're going to just fade away. And we certainly don't want to do that. So we have a mindset of trying to use new technology and new marketing and social media and so on and so forth to present something to an audience that might not know who we are, or certainly don't know the whole history of who we are. But if they're captured by something that sounds a little modern, like you say, and then turn around and go back and look and see, well, I think I know something about these guys, or I've heard the name, let's go back and look at what else they've done. You get that kind of momentum going, and we're creating or trying to at least enhance the audience for the band. And I'm happy to say that even in towns like St. Louis, when we ask how many people are here to see the band for the first time live, at least half the crowd, maybe 70%, will raise their hand. It's an amazing momentum we're on now for a couple of years. And again, in areas where we've performed a lot, there are still new listeners out there that they might have heard one or two songs over the years, but they decide, we'll go check them out after all this time. And so now they're hearing a blend of, holy cow, I forgot they did that song, and then new songs. So it's, like I say, we're trying to ride the wave in a different way and reach people with a different set of ears and turn them on to Little River Band.
I know you to be a busy man, so we'll let you get out of here. Just a couple more quick questions if you have a moment.
Sure.
I know you've been asked this question 100 times, but I couldn't let you get out of here without talking about your experience with Sir George Martin, recording with him, specifically him choosing you to record the lead vocals on the Night Owls and Take It Easy on Me. Can you talk about that?
I'm happy to. It was one of the highlights of my career. Obviously, we were huge fans. All of the band were Beatles fans and knew the history of what George had done with them. The extra special thing was we went to his studio in the Caribbean on Montserrat. And I don't know, the history of Montserrat is not, front page news, but we were there 2 or 3 years before the volcano there erupted and literally engulfed the studio in lava. So it is buried now, it's gone. But we were privileged enough to go work with him in 81. And he was exactly as you've seen other documentaries and things. He was a 6'3" English gentleman, always well dressed for our studios. We would come in, because we're living on this Caribbean island, so everybody's coming in t-shirts and swim trunks and sandals. And it wasn't a suit, but it was well dressed man, and took his job extremely seriously and professionally. And funny story for any other historians or Beatles fans out there, he made a rule on day one. He said, okay, no Beatles talk until 5 o'clock. When the dinner bell rings, and we go to sit down, and he had a chef there. I mean, it was all self-contained. It was a magical experience. And 5 o'clock, we were like kids waiting for recess. Ding, up to the table. And then we just went around, and everybody had at least one question to ask about the Beatles, and he would talk in depth about stories, excuse me, that a lot of people don't hear, behind the scenes stuff. Yoko, Paul and John arguing about something, et cetera, et cetera. And then 6:30, boink, back to the studio to finish up a couple hours. And the other funny thing was, while we were tracking, we begged him to come out and play, and he wouldn't do it. He said, "No, I'm not gonna." And at the very last song we were doing happened to be something that really piqued his interest and his ear. And we saw him get up and walk out, come out to the studio and sit down at that classic Wurlitzer piano that's in all of the Beatles, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, that intro. He came out and played on that piano and added a part to a song. So we were just like, we're tracking with George Martin. It was so cool. But as my first recording experience and ever singing a lead vocal in a studio, for him to choose my vocals for those two songs was the icing on the cake, if you will. I had a wonderful time. He was my doubles partner in the ping pong tournament, as well as the great recording experiences that we had. But one more story. We're tracking "Take It Easy on Me," and I believed heavily in the song. And it was just kind of an album track. We counted to 4, we played it and stopped. And I said, what if, and this was my first kind of contribution to an arrangement for Little River Band. I said, what if it started out piano and vocal, lonely, kind of like Cool Change. Piano and vocal starts the story, starts to develop a little bit first chorus, and then bang, the band is in for the second verse, second chorus, all the way out, and let it build dynamically. And we tried it once, and a magic moment was George pushes the button on the talkback, says, "Great idea, Wayne. That's the way we're cutting it." And the next time we played it, it was so fresh and spontaneous. The next time we played the song, that's the cut you hear now. So we only played it twice in the studio, and George, 2 or 3 times, but George endorsed that arrangement. So for me, that was a kind of, you've arrived moment. George endorsed the change in the way the band approached the song. So I can't say enough about working with him. And it's a cornerstone of confidence, if you will, to know that you were contributing to a band that had international success. And up to that point, I'd been a street musician, playing 6 sets a night and carrying my own gear. So it was a coming of age kind of thing for me.
Joined here with Wayne from Little River Band. Be catching them October 12th in Chesterfield, St. Louis. This is the Midwest Mixtape Podcast. One more for you, Wayne. Obviously, there's been some controversy, with you guys for a number of years. Do you feel like you've been accurately portrayed in some of the media coverage regarding some of the controversy?
Well, not only do I not feel that way, but I know that I haven't, or that we haven't. I don't want to put it, I can't say it's all me, because this progression for the band happened one person at a time. And the way when people finally see it as an end result, they think, how did that happen? How did these people screw these people over and steal the band, and so on and so forth? That's essentially where all the hate comes from, especially from Australia. The progression of the band happened one person at a time. The band was only a year old when the guitar player left. They replaced the guitar player. The bass player immediately left. They replaced him. They went on for a few more years, and Little River Band was an assembled band, if you will. It was Australia's first version of a supergroup. 3 or 4 successful people from different bands were brought together by management. They knew they could write, they knew they could sing, and it worked. And it worked fantastically. And I was asked to join that second kind of group of people. And then one by one, everybody decided, I know better. I know better than this. I know better than him. I know better than him. We need to do this. And so the discord grew, and one by one, people said, I've had enough. And they walked. And they were sure that there would be another successful act around the corner. So lead singer leaves in 82. Other lead singer leaves in 83. Drummer leaves in 84. Every time that happened, the people that were there believed and felt that Little River Band still had a lot to say and a lot to do and wanted to continue. So I've been part of seeing so many people come and go, but everybody that was brought into the band was brought into the band for one strong reason. You brought something new. I was an American joining an Australian band. I brought something new. Our guitar player replaced the lead guitar player, brought something new. Oh, by the way, he was fired in 81. So 81, 82, 83, 84. By 85, the band had been kind of transformed. Everybody that came in was great. If you go back and listen to John Farnham singing with us, the vocals were magnificent. The songwriting was still strong, but the record label was going, who are they, et cetera, et cetera. So to coin a phrase, Little River Band shot itself in the foot over the course of 4 or 5 years. The people that were the founders of Little River Band, it was a circular firing squad. That happened over the course of 5, 6, 7 years. And then we continued to try to get back into the race. Lead singer came back. We worked with Glenn Frey. We had another record deal. We kept trying. And at some point it just went, we are who we are. This is the way it is. And we're going to have to survive on our live show. That's the way it goes. And then all of a sudden we make new music, and those guys that left one at a time got together and decided, we're just going to take the keys back. We're going to send a letter and we're going to go, hey, thanks guys, but we'll take over now. If you had a partner and they came in after, you've been sitting in that chair for 20 years and they said, sorry, I made a mistake. I'll take over. You can go home now. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way in any business, anywhere, anyhow. And we had just gotten done making a new record that we were very proud of. And we went, that's not the way this works. We can talk about getting back together if you want to, but you can't just kick us to the curb after what you did, because it was it was like I say, one person at a time. I'm done with this. That's the situation in a nutshell. And we fought back, and we are where we are today with, sold out crowds and making our 5th new record since all of that turmoil. But like I say, the portrayal of it is everybody sees it. Boom, it happened, on this day in 2015. It's not the way it happened. And nobody tells the story that way. They all tell the story that way, that it was stolen and that, we ran away with the trademark in the middle of the night. That is BS. That is just music business BS. And thankfully, lots of people see through it and they want to hear the music, and that's where we're at.
Little River Band and the Night Owl Orchestra at the Factory at the District in Chesterfield, Missouri, Saturday, October 12th. Know you got a lot of show dates coming up all throughout the country. So we'll be catching you somewhere out on the road, but definitely October 12th in St. Louis. Wayne, we really appreciate your time today, man.
It's my pleasure, man. Good to talk to you. A great chat about some in-depth things. It was a pleasure.
Great. And we'll be catching you October 12th, so maybe we can link up when you get into town.
Sounds good. Please come to the show.
Thanks, man.
All right. See you, bud.